Failure is not an option. There's not enough time in the day to do everything that's required of us. We have to choose where to fail. Our job is to reflect God's love and grace and strength and generosity. Our job is not to be God. And so we will always come up short, and that's okay. Failure is not an option. You will fail. The only question is where you fail, and if this will be a failure of your choosing or one that chooses you. This is a thought that came to me the other day. I was listening to a young husband who's trying to juggle all the different pieces of life with a young family, working 2 jobs, trying to support his wife, trying to care for his young kids, and feeling like a failure, and feeling like he can't do enough. I've been there, I'm sure we've all been there at times where we feel like more is required of us, and so we double down and work hard. We push through the exhaustion, trying to give our all, but always feeling like we're coming up short. There's a sense in which failure is not an option. We often use that in the sense that I can't afford to fail, but I use it differently in the sense that we will fail, but let us now choose where to fail. There's not enough time in the day to do everything that's required of us, to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, to have our quiet time, to spend time with our wife and kids and family and work and exercise. There's not enough time in the day to do everything that's required of us. And so each day we make a choice. We choose where to fail. That sometimes we have to fail in our sleep in order to go to work, in order to provide for our family, to be there for them. Sometimes our sleep takes a hit. Sometimes our work takes a hit so that we can show up for a doctor's appointment, whether for ourselves, for our wife, for our kids. Sometimes our work has to take the hit so we can win in other areas of life. Sometimes our family has to take the hit so we can show up to work. That in order to provide for them, sometimes we're not able to be at every ball game. We're not able to tuck our kids into bed every night because we have to go to work. And so there are times in which our family has to take the hit. But wisdom comes in choosing where we take that hit and being wise not to take the hit in the same spot every time. That our family should not be the one that always takes the hit. Our wife should not be the one that always takes the hit. Our work should not be the one that always takes the hit. But at times, we have to choose where to fail. And so wisdom requires us to be intentional in choosing where to fail. And so we're not trying to avoid failure, but that just leads to more burnout and stress, but recognizing that we can't win in every area of life and choose strategically where we need to fail today and not allow ourselves to fail in the same spot every time. This may be especially true when it comes to marriage and on the home front. At times we feel like a failure as a husband because we cannot seem to meet all of our wife's needs. But much of this is by design. That certainly we're to give our wife everything that we can give her. But again, there's times in which we have to win in our role as father or as friend or as employee. And sometimes our wife has to take the hit. And sometimes that's then met with complaints, met with accusations, whether explicit or implicit, that we're not doing enough. And we must remember that our job is not to meet all of our wife's demands, but simply to reflect God's love to her. And the love that she's ultimately longing for is one of infinite, which we cannot satisfy even on our best day. So even on our best day, when we're giving her 100%, we're still going to fall short. We're still going to fail in what she needs because we're not God. And so there's going to be a gap between what we're able to offer her and what she's needing, because ultimately what she's needing is the infinite of God's love and presence. And so again, this is not an excuse for us to neglect giving her 100% of what we've been called to give her, but it is extending that grace to ourselves, being kind to ourselves, and recognizing that we will come up short. We will fail in our role as a husband if that expectation is to give and meet all of her expectations. But this failure, this weakness, is not a flaw. It is part of the design. We need grace in every area of our life, and our weakness demonstrates that. Our failures demonstrate our need for grace in every area of our life. As the Apostle put it, that God's grace is sufficient, and that His power is made perfect in weakness. And so when we come up short, that's where we stand in need of grace, and God's grace to fill in that gap between what we're able to do and the work that still needs to be done. God's grace empowers us to keep showing up and doing the work that we've been called to do, while also giving our wife, our kids, our family what they need when we come up short. Our job is to reflect God's love and grace and strength and generosity. Our job is not to be God. And so again, we are finite. We are not infinite. And so we will always come up short, and that's okay. Well, we might come up short. We will never come up empty-handed when we're relying on God's infinite grace. And so we can keep showing up. We can choose to fail wisely. We can keep loving courageously and let God's grace carry the rest. If this resonates with you, then like and subscribe and share with other men who might also be struggling under the weight of their burden and responsibility and the fear of failure. Let them know that it's okay to fail, that God's grace will carry the rest. And then check out this next video on why it's important to also be Clark Kent. And as much as we are Superman and have our gift, our strength to offer to others, it's okay to also allow our humanity to be intact, to be Clark Kent. Check that out here.